This is a News Channel 15 special report.
And a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us for this special report. Well, firefighters are on scene in Georgetown, managing any hot spots that remain from the Front Street fire that destroyed several buildings.
No injuries have been reported, but as many as a dozen people are without homes this morning. And Governor Nikki Haley is surveying the damage. She is getting ready to hold a press conference live in Georgetown. We're going to be listening in as soon as she begins talking. Let's take a look.
Representatives from our federal delegation as well have all come together to assess the situation and to make plans on how we can put this thing back together as quickly as possible and bring these businesses and these lives and these residents back together, as well as the nearly 130 employees that we recognize that have been displaced as a result of this event. There are many people that have performed heroically during the past 24 hours or more. I'm not going to begin to call all of the names, but certainly Chief Joey Tanner and the Georgetown City Fire Department is at the top of that list, and he'll be speaking in just a moment. And I'm going to leave it up to you, Joey, to recognize those many jurisdictions and departments that have contributed to the effort and minimize the amount of damage that was done here. But without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome our governor from the great state of South Carolina to address you here this morning on this event.
Thank you, Sal. I appreciate it. Thank you. I will tell you, I did yesterday, but more so today, have a very heavy heart at what I have seen here today. This is devastating for Georgetown. This is tragic for South Carolina. This is horrible to look at, but what I will tell you that absolutely warms my heart is the amazing ability that the community had in coming together is extraordinary. When you look at the first responders, we had 3 firefighters injured in this process. We had 1 police officer injured in this process. The way they worked, the hours they put in, and the way the community stepped up to give them food and water and to make sure that the city and the county and all the neighbors came together, that is South Carolina. That is South Carolina every day of the week. And I will tell you, Georgetown has always been a bright spot. But Georgetown is going through a tough time right now. And what we saw were some miraculous people that came together and said, we're going to make this work. And I first need to thank our State Fire Marshal, Shane Ray, who really stepped up to make sure that from a firefighter's perspective, they had everything they needed. The fire departments from across the state that stepped up and showed up to Georgetown and said, we are your brothers and sisters and we're going to be there for you is amazing. So I want to thank Shane for that. I want to say that there is such a rock star in your community in Chief Tanner. The way he stepped up and the way he made sure that everything was okay was something that we should all look at. And when you look at a small community, everybody needs a Chief Tanner because he really stepped up in a way that brought this community together. EMD Director Sam Hodge pulled all our first responders together, pulled everything together. I want to thank Sam for that. We also had our police chief Gardner, who made sure that he was taking care of the other side while the firefighters were fighting, making sure that our police were there. But then there were some other people. You saw the Salvation Army really step up. You saw the Red Cross. God bless the Red Cross that steps up every time we have an event. In any part of the state, the Red Cross is there for us, and they certainly stepped up. Nancy Conley's done a great job, and thank you for that. So I want to thank them as well. And then it's amazing to see Brian Tucker and the Chamber of Commerce and how they get the fact these were small businesses. These were mom and pops that got hurt. These were people that lived upstairs. These are homes that were devastated. They don't have anything. They've lost it all overnight. Not just their business, they lost their home at the same time. And when you look at that, this is the time where I'm going to ask South Carolina to step up like they've never stepped up before. Our neighbors in Georgetown need us. Our neighbors in Georgetown have gone through a crisis, and the neighbors across the state of South Carolina need to come through. We have set up a fund called Front Street Fire Relief Fund. Front Street Fire Relief Fund. You can donate at any First Citizens across the state, or you can call 843 546-8591. Again, I'm asking my neighbors across South Carolina to step up and help the people in Georgetown by donating to Front Street Fire Relief Fund at any First Citizens Bank. And also never ever forget the American Red Cross, because they step up regardless of what town it's in. American Red Cross, you can donate at 1-800-RED-CROSS anytime you can. I'm going to tell you that what I want the takeaway from this to be is Georgetown is going to be okay. What I want the takeaway to be is Georgetown is now open for business. Right. Every one of these businesses in front and on the side, they're open. Support them, go see them. I want people to visit Georgetown. I want them to see how beautiful it still is. I want them to see the treasure and the history that we have in this community, because these are strong people, and this is a strong community, and we are a strong state, and we are going to step up for Georgetown like they've never seen, and we are going to do for the people of Georgetown, but it starts today. So let's make sure that we don't forget there are businesses that have survived. Let's make sure we don't forget that we're going to work to get the other businesses back up and running again. And let's show Georgetown that we know they're survivors. And we're going to show them that they're survivors by the strength that we show in the fact that we're going to continue to support them. So Georgetown is open for business. Georgetown is strong. We have gone through a tragedy, but we will rise through the ashes and smile once again. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank the community, who has really been phenomenal. Thank you very, very much for everything you've done. And I want to thank everybody behind me. This is an extraordinary effort of city, county, state coming together. And when you ever doubt whether we are prepared for an emergency, look at this. This is an example of everything that we do when we do it right. So thank you very much, and I appreciate all of you being here. God bless you.
All right, that was Governor Nikki Haley talking about the Front Street fire. And the biggest thing I took away from that, Crystal, was her impression of how our community came together to support. She's saying that all the communities that went down there, all the different fire stations that went down to help Georgetown County fight this, that they're their brothers and sisters, that they stepped up. And she's asking the state to come together like we never have before to help the community down there. Absolutely. She's praising the Red Cross volunteers, Salvation Army, all the fire departments you heard from. And she did mention a couple of ways that you can help out if you want to donate to the, it's called the the Front Street Fire Relief Fund. So you can donate at First Citizens banks all over the state. And she also said, not only that, there's a number that you can call. We'll have that throughout the day on your website, carolinalive.com. You can also donate to the Red Cross, who she says that always steps up no matter what the disaster. Now we've got Chief Tanner, who she gave praises to, saying that she wished every community had that. Let's join him now and see what he has to say. Here to help us. Then we had firefighters from Charleston and North Charleston and Dorchester County and Somerville and Florence and Johnsonville and Williamsburg County. We had folks from all over the state here, and they stood with us all the way till 7 o'clock this morning. And we'll have others coming in this afternoon to help us to begin this rebuilding process. I will tell you, we had 3 firefighters injured. But as I told the governor a little bit ago, I'm real happy that I don't have to go visit someone in the hospital, or I'm not planning a funeral today. If you see the blowout of this building that's in the middle of the street, 3 firefighters are standing in front of that building when that blew out on top of them. But they're okay, and they're going to be okay. But I can also tell you, I know this community. I live here, I work here, and I love it. And I know that Georgetown is strong. It's been strong through anything before. Through Hurricane Hugo, we came back. I promise you, I know we can come back from this. So thank you. Thank you for all of your support, community. You came out in a way that is just amazing to me. So again, thank you. Thank you all for being here. And the governor, again, thank you. Appreciate it.
Good morning. I'm the Director of Emergency Management for Georgetown County. But just kind of to let y'all know where we are today. Most of y'all were here yesterday and know the tragic events that we had. Yesterday morning at 5:23 is when they received the first call at the 911 center, which brought all the neighboring departments together as that team of skilled firefighters to combat the fire that they had here in the city of Georgetown. About 1:30 yesterday afternoon, pretty much they had the fire under control. As you can see, there's still some hot spots that are burning, and they'll be working on those throughout the day to make sure all that's taken care of. Like Chief Tanner said, there's numerous departments that were responded out here to assist. Firefighter mobilization is a plan that the state has put in place, and we can get firefighters from all around the state with a simple phone call. That process worked great, something that the Fire Marshal's office works on and puts together. With the injuries of the 3 firefighters and the 1 police officer, what a blessing that was to know that they could actually, 3 of them actually were released and returned back to the fire scene, and 1 will be back on Friday. So that was a great thing to know there was no major injuries. When it comes to the businesses, we lost 10 businesses and about 130 jobs, as we spoke about before. It's important that the community comes together and makes sure that we take care of these 130 employees, some of which were the residents that lived above the stores, and make sure we take care of them. The plan for the day is definitely to start the investigation process. State Law Enforcement Division, along with Georgetown City Police Department, will be working with that with some of the other outside agencies. They'll be working on that, going through the rubble pile to find out and determine exactly what caused this disaster here in Georgetown, and also working on the stabilization of the front of these buildings. Y'all have seen the photos from the back, how much damage is done on the boardwalk area, but it's important for Georgetown that we save the front in the face of Georgetown's Front Street. And they'll be working very hard with the engineers and all to see exactly how we can support those structures to make sure the face of those buildings remain Georgetown, and then we can build better and bigger behind it, but still keep it Georgetown, which is very important. And it's very important to remember, like they said, Georgetown is open. We've lost 10 businesses, but hopefully by the end of the day, we'll have the other neighboring businesses on either side back open for public. So we are open. There's 2 great events that are coming up. On the 12th, we have the Bridge to Bridge Marathon. Still will take place. We'll also on the 19th have our annual wooden boat show. So we really want to encourage people to come back to Georgetown, see what it's about, love our community, and we'll definitely welcome them with open arms.
Good morning. Paul Gardner, the Chief of Police here in the city. I want to thank the governor for being here. She's been a great asset to us. Yesterday morning, we had some acts of heroism those stories will come out, but our fire department performed valiantly, as well as our police officers. Patrol Team 1 was here. The officer that was injured has suffered a slight concussion as she was, after the explosion in the front of the building came out, she suffered an injury. But she's going to be just fine. I want to thank our law enforcement partners that were here yesterday. Yesterday, obviously, we were fully engaged with what was happening down here and supporting the fire department. Yesterday, the sheriff's office under Sheriff Lane Cribb was in our town handling our calls for service, from dog calls to alarm calls, whatever. He was there. The Highway Patrol was here answering our calls for accidents. So they were all here. And the minute this started happening, we started reaching out to SLED and Chief Keel and asking, we need support. And SLED was here within hours. We actually even went to our federal partners. As you see on some of the jackets, we have ATF here as well. What's going to happen today is that you're going to start to see some activity right here on Front Street. You're going to see a backhoe in here, and we're going to start to take some things out. This is part of the investigation process, and it is not part of the demolition process. If anything comes down today, it's for the safety of the investigators, it's for the safety of the personnel conducting this investigation, because it's important for us that we determine what the cause of this fire was. So that's what we're about today. I want to thank again all our law enforcement partners, and you know, sometimes police and fire have little jokes back and forth every now and then. But I was around Joey Tanner yesterday, and he performed like a maestro. So the city's in good hands. Please come down and enjoy our beautiful city, and we're going to be even better than we were before. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Jeanette Ard. I'm City Council member, and I'm also a business owner. In 1989, I invested in a building down here and moved my business downtown, but part of the revitalization. And now we're going to have another revitalization thanks to the help of all the state and the community. And I lost everything in the fire. I lived there. I worked there. I loved being there. So that was my home. And so I lost my home. I lost my business. And all of us up and down the street have lost in this community. And I just thank the community. I thank all of our elected officials for being here to support us. I just appreciate that so much, and all of the emergency responders did a fabulous job. And then can't say enough about the support of the community, the phone calls, the people showing up down here to support us, and I just thank all of you so much for being here.
And just to reiterate, she's a councilwoman, but she was a small business owner. She lost her business. Her home was above it. She lost her home above it. So she has lost a lot, but she has also committed to the fact that we are going to build it back up again, and we're going to see Georgetown strong again, and we're going to get her back what she needs.
And we're going to say our motto is going to be, yes, we will.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will. So we'll get it done.
Thank you very much. So with that, I think that is all of our speakers right now, so we will open it up for questions for anybody that is behind me right now.
Governor, is there a specific pot of money that you've identified that covers either tourism or historic preservation or finances that could help these people, or is it more a private insurance type matter?
So first of all, we are digging deep. There is nothing I won't do, nothing I won't sign, nothing I won't support in helping them get what they need. The concern I have is what is available. So we are now, there's not anything with FEMA because it's not a natural disaster wildfire. We are going to look at, we have worked with Senator Scott and Senator Graham's office, who've been tremendously helpful, and we're going to see what we can do from the historical aspect, what we can do from the tourism aspect, what we can do just in general. But I think this is going to be more private than it is anything else, and that is why I'm really going out asking in a very strong way to ask the people of South Carolina to step up and help, whether it's $5, $10, $20, all of those things add up when it comes to helping these business owners and these homes, and really this historical district build back up again. This is a part of their pride. This is a part of who they are, and we need to get them back that ability to do that as soon as possible. Any other?
We heard yesterday a lot about the water system here in Georgetown being old. There's a lot of other small cities throughout the state. What can the state do to help some of these cities that do have these water systems?
Does anybody want to talk about the water system here first and give some status? Who's the right person to?
We did have a little volume problem yesterday morning that's being addressed now. Some of those things I think plans to be revitalized over the years. Again, it's part of money processes as well too. So again, those are things that we're going to continue to look and see what we can do to make it better.
And to answer your question, that's a lot of what municipalities have to look at. That's a lot of infrastructure, which is what we're always focused on, is that they've got to make sure they do have the capacity. Fortunately, they were able to respond very quickly, but every municipality needs to look and see what their resources are should something like this happen and make sure they have an adequate supply.
What sort of estimate are we looking at in terms of total loss?
I think it's just too soon to tell. That's a lot of what we tried to do today. My questions were, how long is it going to stay hot? When are we going to cool it down? How long is it going to take us to clean it up? And the answers were, we just don't know. I think what you've got is a commitment from everybody here to do as much as we can, as fast as we can, but there is a live investigation. So that kind of comes first. We have to make sure that we rule whatever we need to out first and then start to do it. But I don't think we will know the damages for a while. I don't think we'll know the cleanup time for a while. What I think we are focused on is the chamber has been wonderful in making sure that they meet with the businesses, going step by step. What have they lost? What do they need to find? How do they deal with their insurance companies? All of that. Dealing with the property itself, the city having to go and take away the debris and do all of that. There's just a lot of steps, I think, before we get to this. I knew it was going to be tough, but really seeing it, it's pretty amazing to see how much damage was done.
Will the city be overseeing the cleanup process, or will that be each individual business handling their building?
So I think, and they can talk about this, I think the part that is the city, they do that, but I think every individual business, that's where the insurance is going to need to come in. And so this is really going to be about partnerships. This is going to be about us trying to figure out how we pool resources together so that everyone is taken care of in the process.
This is for possibly Chief Gardner. I know that with the investigation, it's very early. Y'all haven't even, I guess, haven't begun. You're trying to get the hotspots and everything else out. But with this investigation, what exactly are y'all looking for to see if this is natural, or is arson even a possibility at this point?
This is one we definitely leave to the pros. That's why we have ATF and SLED's arson team down here. We are going to find the source and origin of this fire. And then from there, we'll determine whether it was accidental or someone did it purposefully. Okay?
It's normally kind of a standard step to bring in an arson team.
Yes.
But is there something that would lead you guys to believe that there's anything like suspicious?
We have, as I believe that was released, the 911 tape, that there was a fire on the exterior of one of the units yesterday, that was the start of the fire. So we're going to try to get to that point where that report came from and determine whether, there was accelerants or whether it appears to be just an accidental cause.
Can anyone from the city talk about specifically the river walk and the damage to that and what that means to Georgetown?
Well, we're certainly going to try and open up the Harbor Walk as soon as we can, because it is a vital part of our town. It did, have some damage to it, and what we're going to try and do is have a structural engineer come in and see what repairs have to be made in order that it's safe for the tourists and our public to enjoy.
So for now, it's closed.
That one section behind 700 will be closed for a while. Again, for the public, the fire was driven, and Joey could speak to this much better than I could, but the fire was driven through the back. Yesterday when you first came, you saw what it looked bad, but until you went to the back of the buildings, you didn't realize how bad it was. And so the damage to that infrastructure back there has to be reviewed.
There was a report, some of the locals were saying that it took a real long time to get water on the fire, 40 minutes. Are you guys in agreement with that, or what's your stance on that?
Absolutely not. There was two reports. First, it was a 30-minute response time. It was 4 minutes, documented from Central Dispatch, a 4-minute response time. 20, 30 minutes gets water on the fire. The first engine on scene immediately pulled attack lines to the back of the building and started fighting fire. He became overwhelmed with the fire on the back by himself. He came to the front. In the meantime, as the other engines were arriving, we were getting reports of people in the buildings. Our job was to try to evacuate the buildings. All right, so that became life safety is always first. The buildings can be replaced, a life cannot. So we began to worry about evacuation. Firefighter came to the front of the building to assist with that, and that's when the front of the building blew out and firefighters rolled up in the rubble. Again, life safety always is first. Yes, it may have taken a few extra minutes to get the ladder truck up, but the water was already being applied to the rear of the building when the first engine got on scene.
And the one thing I can tell you, going back to the investigation, SLED and Chief Gardner and ATF have already started the investigation yesterday, so they moved very quickly. But when we look at the entire process, there was no piece that didn't happen. There was nothing that didn't happen when it should have happened. And this really is a true example of how to handle an emergency. And the town of Georgetown and the county, they handled it beautifully. We couldn't have asked for anything better. All right, last question. Or we're going once, twice. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Got a lot of heartfelt words out of that, but the big take is they're still under investigation. It's going to be days before they get anywhere on that or even get a price tag on how much this fire is going to cost.
Also, Governor Nikki Haley needs everyone in South Carolina to step up. She said, quote, asking South Carolina to step up like they never have before. And there's a couple of ways you can help. There's the Red Cross number, 1-800-RED Cross. She's asking for donations there. You can also donate at First Citizens banks all over the state. But it's important to point out that those businesses that were not affected by the fire
They're
in
still
Georgetown,
open.
That's right.
There's 130 people now that they estimate that are out of jobs because of this. There are dozens without a home.
Right.
So if you can go there and you could show your support, it's going to make all the difference in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we appreciate you joining us for this special report. And again, investigators are still trying to figure out how the fire started. Of course, we'll continue to follow that.
Yeah, throughout the day, we'll have updates on your website, carolinalive.com. And be sure to watch News Channel 15 tonight at 6 for a live report. Thank you for joining us. Here's your regular scheduled programming.
This has been a News Channel 15 special report.